Welcome to the Scale Model Podcast. In this podcast, we aim to entertain, inform, and promote the hobby of scale model kit building with interviews, reviews, and news about the hobby. The Scale Model Podcast currently is recorded bi-weekly and is available where your favorite podcasts are found, including iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher, as well as at the website at scalemodelpodcast.com. Let us know if you have any comments or suggestions at scalemodelpodcast@gmail.com or on our Facebook page, facebook.com/scalemodelpodcast. We publish extra video content on our YouTube channel. There's also a Patreon page at patreon.com/scalemodelpodcast. The money raised here is used to offset our web hosting and other costs, as well as giveaways, and we hope to increase those as the podcast grows. My name is Stuart Clark, and I am here for episode 26, as I really messed up that. I am here that's because I'm in the deepest, darkest, brand new modeling bay.
The recesses.
Yet another one at Goodman Models, deep in the dungeon here.
In the dungeon.
With the man himself, Anthony Goodman.
Hello, Stuart. How are you tonight?
Not bad, other than screwing up that intro, but that's all right. That's all right. It's been a busy week. Lots of stuff happening again. We're only human. We've actually been down here for a few hours doing some other stuff.
Yeah, working on some other special things.
We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But as usual, we have an absolute ton of news. But we're actually going to start with a little bit of sad news.
Yeah.
For those of you in IPMS Canada and the northeastern U.S., you'll recognize this name, Doug Booth. He was a member of IPMS London and IPMS Canada, and he passed away suddenly 2 weekends ago. He was a prolific modeler. He was one of the founding members, along with myself and a few other people of IPMS London, many moons ago. I won't tell you how long, because then I'll really feel old. Absolute wealth of knowledge, passion for the hobby, like you wouldn't believe. Decades of modeling experience. He loved ships, float planes, everything Canadian.
The Arrow.
It was rumored he remembered Black Friday every year when they officially shut down the thing. Yeah. You wanted to get Doug started? You can talk about the Arrow.
Doug was a great guy.
He was a great guy. He's about the only guy I know when we were doing presentations, because he always built so much at our local IPMS meetings.
He built like a ton. He was very prolific.
But he's the only one we had to put a time limit on.
Yes, he loved to talk.
He loved explaining how he did it.
Yeah.
But he was always there for the younger modelers. I remember him countless times helping me with advice and that. Do you have any particular thing that stands out?
I did end up driving Doug in the past few years to all our local shows and helping them out, and he was vending for a while, and so we'd always we always have a couple hour car rides on a couple times a year for the shows, and he had the greatest stories. He was always talking about, he was just so passionate about airplanes and history, like World War II history. He loved modeling knowledge, like technique, and even the history of model kits. You could talk about something, and I remember
vast history
when they first invented plastic kits. I'm kidding a little.
I know. The thing that blows me away is, though, he would work in these tiny scales.
He was a glutton for punishment.
700th, and I'm thinking to myself, and he'd do photo etch in 700. Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll throw up in the gallery for the show notes. I'm going to throw up some of his builds.
Yeah.
We'll do a tribute.
There's some good ones.
Yep. They had the service last Friday. Quite a few members of our local chapter went to it. And we are, there's going to be an official announcement later on, but for our scale model show, Southwestern Ontario Scale Model Show, we are going to do something like a tribute category. We just have to figure out what to do. He's again, huge part of the club, and he was always there.
Yeah, he was always there.
Always. And, the other thing too is, out in the community, he would, every Remembrance Day, he would go out to the local Legion Hall with one or two of the guys and a bunch of Canadian Armor kits and put them out. And the vets loved it.
Yeah, he organized that. He would get other club members to bring anything World War II or Korean War related, and
the vets loved it.
It was always, I think, they really appreciated
so
it.
Hopefully
he did that every year.
Yeah, I'm hoping someone will take up that gauntlet. We'll see what happens there.
That's
but
true.
Yeah, it's awesome. So again, our sympathies from the podcast to his wife and his son.
They'll be surely missed.
They will be surely missed. And as I said, it just a life well lived. Basically, we can say that.
Yep.
So, okay, let's get on with the latest news.
What's happening?
IPMS U.S. Nationals this weekend.
Is it this weekend or is it happening now?
No, this weekend coming up. People are on the road.
Yes.
They are traveling in Chattanooga.
Right. Yep. Tennessee.
Taking the Chattanooga Choo-Choo or something like that. I had to say it once. I'm sorry. All sorts of announcements will be there.
Yeah.
We're going to try and stay on top of it. But however, if you're one of our listeners and you're lucky enough to be going, if you see some new announcement or a hot tip, make sure you let us know and give us a heads up.
Absolutely.
We'd love to know about it. We'll happily credit you, of course.
Pictures, yeah. If you have any good photos, slap them up on our Facebook page.
Yep, we're gonna, like I said, in 2 weeks we'll have the review show, and I'm sure there'll be some exciting announcements.
Yeah, hopefully.
I'm gonna mention a couple as we go through here because I know there's at least one or two items that they're releasing, and we'll be hearing some more about.
Don't forget to look for our good friends at FlexiFile. They'll be down there. They're going to have the Goodman Model Super Sanding blocks with them. So if you want to try a set out and you're at the show, go grab them from FlexiFile.
And say you heard about it on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Just saying, yeah. And our good friend, our interview subject tonight, he's going to be down there. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So yeah, all sorts. So on to the news. So one of the bigger news is for the World War II aircraft guys.
One of the bigger news, or this is the big announcement this month.
Well, there's a couple of big ones.
Is there?
Yeah, there's a couple.
I feel like this is the biggest.
If you're a World War II aircraft guy, you're in a good place this month.
I'm kind of in love with this thing too.
I know, but anyway. So Tamiya, they're releasing an all new tool of the P-38 in 1/48 scale. This is the F&G model. I guess pretty excitement out there.
Yes, yeah. I think it looks amazing. I one day would this would be the one I'd like to build.
Yeah,
it's such a cool looking bird.
Yeah, it's the FG model, and there's going to be a couple of decal schemes. They've actually already pre-released it in the white box edition. There was a couple of modeling shows in Japan, so very limited release. So some people have already got their hands on it, and they're doing it. So there might be some slight changes between when it's released, I believe, November.
They always reserve that.
Yep.
That notice. That
so there is two choices of decals. One is the plane, one of the aircraft that took part in the shooting down of Admiral Yamamoto.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Very famous mission. Cockpit masks. Very. Again, I'm not a P-38 expert, but a lot of people seem to be saying, for the most part, good things about this.
Yeah.
Very, very unique aircraft. We're gonna, with the links, we're gonna show some links at one of the model shows in Asia that basically has that. Tamiya actually did a teaser of a couple of images.
That's right.
And our friends at the Scale Model Podcast, I think it was
It was Julian.
Was it Julian? Sorry, Julian.
Expert.
Julian actually correctly guessed it, so good for him.
He pointed out, they were mentioning this on their last episode, and Julian was talking about how this would be, the F&G ones were the models that had the olive drab over like a sky gray, or what's the original? So this wouldn't be the aluminum sort of bodied one that is also kind of well known, right?
This is kind of iconic. That's served in the Far East. Yeah. It's interesting too, is because I know one thing it mentions here. It even comes with the correct amount of nose weight, because otherwise this would be a tail sitter. Yeah, they've actually done that too. Open or closed, canopy, detailed cockpit, etc. So it looks really, really good.
Looks awesome.
So definitely keep an eye on that.
Is there any pricing info on this kit yet?
I haven't seen it yet, because again, it's considered a pre-release. I thought they mentioned it.
This is being released in November.
Right. There is some white box ones coming out, and I know they were mentioning, and I'm sorry, I just don't remember off the top of my head. It'll be comparably
we'll
priced.
Come back to it for sure.
It'll be comparably priced for that sort of quality. So yeah, definitely nice looking kit. Okay. Italeri, they have some new releases this month. So, couple of things. Five new releases. Our friends of the Modeling News, they had a great title for this. 6 new releases on 3, 2, and 4 wheels, wings and tracks this month. So we have, starting off, we have a Vespa, the iconic Italian scooter.
Oh, that's cool.
1/9 scale, 42 euros.
Wow.
Yep, yep. First Vespa was born in the second post-war period, 1946. Tens of thousands, if not more, lived through in Europe and all that. Just, yeah, very simple, very robust. Everyone had them. If you were a teenager or early 20s, you had a Vespa.
That's how they got around.
That's how they got around. So yeah,
That's
very
neat.
very attractive looking, nicely detailed. Similar scale, 1/9 from the military people. A motorcycle, the Zundap KS 750 with sidecar. This is a German motorcycle, I believe. Yep, by the German Army. 1937 it was developed by Zundap and BMW, had a 751cc twin-engine boxer engine capable of delivering 26 horsepower, and it could reach 95 kilometers an hour. Quite a few decal schemes there.
That's a Mondo scale.
Yeah, 1/9.
Because I've seen kits of this before.
Yeah, they're usually smaller. So this is a big scale. When you get to the motorbikes, you're getting into the scale.
Yeah.
So yeah, very nice looking. It's even got some little coil springs. Lots of choices of wheels, and this has the sidecar with the machine gun. Those of you who have ever seen Hogan's Heroes will recognize this.
Yeah.
It's kind of the thing with the sidecar. Okay, next up in 1/35th scale, the SD KFZ 173 Jag Panther with a winter crew. This is 36 euros. I'm not sure if it's a reissue or not. 3 decal versions. Very attractive. Germany 1945 for a couple of them. Actually, they're all Germany 1945, of course, for this model. But yeah, including some winter camouflage. It was used in Normandy, the Ardennes, the Eastern Front. Had an 88 millimeter gun. So yeah, very good basic kit, plastic barrel, all that. So has 5 soldiers with new rubber tracks. I always love when they say new rubber tracks. It means you don't have to assemble them, for those that hate that.
Now I wonder if they've actually remolded,
It's possible.
a new design, and then
It's possible. It could be a reissue.
because they're not bad like they used to be.
No, they again, they're not, but for a basic build, and this is what I say for people who, if you want the finest detail with 10,000 parts, you're not going to go to a Tower.
Those tracks too, they're fully exposed on the
Yeah.
Yagged Panther, but they're also they sit tightly to the
They sit
wheels.
tightly, so
so
it's-
you have opportunities to kind of glue
You can
them
do
and
some
mount them.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So they look
Okay.
and the new rubber's gluable.
That's the big difference.
That's the big engineering
exactly. That was
improvement, right?
I remember years ago. I used to staple them.
Yeah.
My little mini stapler when I was a
Yeah.
kid, and I did that. And
All
again,
kinds
you
of-
put them so it's hidden, and it worked.
Yeah.
You'd swear a lot at it, but okay. Moving on. This one I kind of like because I like Land Rovers. This is their Land Rover fire truck. So this is 1/24 scale, 34 euros. Again, very famous vehicle. First prototype was made in
Post-war
47. They're still making them today.
Oh, it's very English too. The Hampshire
Fire Service.
Service,
This would have been funny. My dad worked for the Hampshire Constabulary, so he would have worked alongside these guys.
Okay.
And actually, you know what's funny? I'm looking here. One of the stations featured is Petersfield, and that's actually where my mom met my dad. It's right near where my mom grew up.
Oh, funny.
So
Look at
this
that,
would have
eh?
been the Petersfield. So I'm definitely going to have to get this now.
Oh.
But you've also got ones for the Germans and different different
Spain.
things. Cornwall
So they
County.
obviously exported all over Europe.
Oh yeah, they
right?
were. They were. Hampshire Fire Service. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get this. Germany, Austrian, and Finland, Flemish, Belgium, Barcelona. A lot of schemes actually.
Yeah.
But
They're
yeah,
all
no.
slightly different, but not.
Yeah, these were really good because this was where if you needed to respond quickly into some out of the way places, these were very good for the countryside.
Yeah.
So yeah, very very much in use. My dad had an old Series 3. He had forever, and it was like 30 years
Like that,
old.
kind of like with the truck style body.
I love. Oh yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Funny thing with my dad's Land Rover, I couldn't drive it because
Is it three?
it was
three in a tree.
Well, no, that, but also I couldn't. get myself into it. The steering wheel, because the steering wheel is so
They're
big, my
huge.
knees would be going through the thing. Now, you actually can buy rails that would extend the seat back a bit more.
Oh,
Because my
okay.
dad was a bit shorter, but he had the
Okay.
seat all the way back and he was fine. But
wow.
I would be very uncomfortable, you know. But yeah,
Yeah.
you know, this thing might achieve 70 going downhill with a tailwind. I wasn't designed for speed, but it was solid. Like they were,
yeah,
you know,
built to last.
built
and
to last.
tough.
You see this huge Land Rover community, so
Yeah.
kind of cool. Okay, next we have, this is an interesting one, 1/72nd scale, the Harrier GR1 in commemoration of the Transatlantic Air Race, the 50th anniversary, €19. So yeah, basically
cool.
in service of the RAF, three different versions. 1970 from RAF Wittering in North Hampshire, 1975, and then yeah, the commemoration of the Transatlantic Air Race in 1969.
I
People
love
don't
the
realize
Harrier.
how long the Harrier's been used for.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
a '60s aircraft. It's
Yeah,
a cool
yeah,
post-war
Yep.
product. Of,
Yep, and it actually, like I said, it saw
engineering.
service in the Falklands, and it distinguished
Yes.
itself very well. The U.S. Marine Corps
think
had
they
them,
were
and
in-
the Indian Navy had them, and
They also saw
Spanish.
service in the Gulf War and the
Yep.
U.S. Marines. I
yep, the
believe.
U.S. Marines used them exactly. So yeah, that looks interesting. Interesting scheme. Next,
Love
we
it.
have for the car folks a Porsche 956 in 1/24 scale for €32. This is the 1982 version for the World Sports Car Championship in Category C. So again, nice looking. You've got the now you know what is interesting here. If you look at some of these decal schemes, right? Well, see, as you know, back then the cigarette manufacturers did a lot of sponsorships.
Yes.
Now you see where on the decal
Rothmans
scheme it
and-
says racing,
Racing.
right? And you see on the screenshot of the decal sheet, some of it's been ghosted
Oh,
out because it
yeah.
says Rothmans.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of you can't use cigarette advertising anymore, so they've had to hide
But
that.
it's there.
It's
so you
there.
Can,
Yeah,
you
you have
can
the
create
option.
an accurate
Yeah.
model.
Yeah, but this was a very successful. It won several world championships. It won 4 editions of the Le Mans 24 hour. So nice looking kit here. A lot
Those are
of-
awesome.
Yeah, this is very attractive looking. So yeah, that'll be available from our good friends at Atalery.
Very
Moving
nice.
on, the Revell releases for this month. So the 2019 New Instant Classics, they're calling it. 4 releases. We have the 70 Plymouth AAR Cuda. This is a gorgeous looking vehicle in 1/25 for €30 and a beautiful
Instant class.
instant classic.
Would these be new or repops?
Some of these going to be repops, but you know,
instant
but see, hey, this is a classic, 1970 Cuda. This is gorgeous. So this had high-end race equipment, very powerful V8 engine. I love the color scheme on this.
Yeah.
I love that purple.
Gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, it's like a pearl sparkly purple.
No, the plastic comes molded in that color.
Looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, that's nice looking.
Yeah.
That's very sharp.
No, the plastic doesn't come molded. It comes in white.
Okay.
But then, yeah, you can do some fun things with it. But that looks good.
The
Look at the size of the engine, the 6-barrel engine. So yeah, very, very gorgeous. Okay, moving on. A big 1/32nd scale Me-262. This was a World War II German attack aircraft, jet fighter and fighter bomber. €49, 211 parts. This will be a fairly big kit. This was known as the Swallow in German. It was the first operational jet-powered fighter aircraft.
classic. Now this is a repop.
This has to be.
Yeah, because that the 32nd scale
I've seen it before.
Me-262's been out for a long
There's
time.
different
right?
manufacturers.
Yeah,
But
there's
again-
even more
again,
than one.
But the detailing here, you got a detailed cockpit. You can open up the engine.
Have they made some? Maybe they've added a few.
They might have added a few
some
things,
new
yeah.
tooled parts.
Yeah, you got a couple of different decal schemes from 1944. So yeah, all in all, it's a nice looking kit.
That's a really cool. That is a really neat subject, right?
It
Like
is. It is. Yeah.
the first jet.
Yeah. Yeah, and this one
fighter.
has the anti-bomber rockets, the R4M rocket platform. Plus, you have 4 bombs, 2 additional fuel tanks. So yeah, lot of possibilities there. Again, attractive looking in that scale. It's not too huge. Okay, this one's definitely a repop. This is for the 150th anniversary of the Clipper Cuddy Sark. This is the Revel's 1 to 220th scale, 164 parts, 406 millimeters when built, 260 millimeters high, €30, and it comes with some paint and glue. They're calling this a level 5, but again, it's one of the ones that's been in their stables for years.
Yeah. Would this be a 70s sort of original kit kind of thing, or
Probably we look it up in ScaleMates, it'd be back then, but it comes with the 3-piece hole, structured sail, 1-piece mast. It even comes with some yarn for standing and running rigging, flags, and details. So yeah, rigging's always my nightmare, but if you like it, it looks like it has everything you need to make a very good kit. And again, it
must
does
be
come
some
with
techniques, right?
Yeah, it does come with some basic adhesives and brushes and all that. So not
Like a
bad.
starter kit almost.
Yeah, basically.
Holy
Then
moly.
we have the 25th anniversary of the Benetton Ford B194 in 124 scale. This is an F1 car. I can't believe that's been that long. 1994 season, yes.
25th anniversary. Wow, yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. I love
Yeah.
the paint scheme.
Yeah,
on
the
this.
Benettons were quite known for their color scheme that comes molded in an interesting green. Includes your wheel suspension, front and rear wings, enough decals to keep you out of trouble for a while. Ford engine, probably a Ford Cosworth. Michael Schumacher and Jos Verstappen drove these in that season. Gorgeous looking. And again, they do come with the glues and brushes. So again, a good basic set. And again, Revell Germany's, they're getting into a lot of this stuff. Again, they're trying to encourage new modelers. These aren't maybe designed
Absolutely.
for kids, but it could be designed just for someone who wants to get back in. They don't have
Yeah.
to buy anything else.
Or maybe just that push to, maybe make kids want to go with the next level.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Well, it's not even
or
kids. It could be, like you say,
return
someone,
right. People
yeah,
returning to the
exactly.
hobby.
You got
and,
everything,
kinda get
everything
started.
you need there. Okay, moving
Nice.
on. Hobby Boss, their early August releases, just 2 German subjects. So their first one is another one of their 172nd train series. So this one is the armored train. This is a BP-42.
Kanonen and Flakwagen.
Right. So this is basically a big ass car with a couple of flak guns on it.
Yeah.
So they basically would have these things on either side of the engine. So one would have, anti-aircraft car.
Either side of the engine, like in
It
front.
says other
and
side,
then-
yeah. It
Interesting.
says here, yeah.
No, there was a number of those armored trains, and wasn't there? They named them after all the continents that they wanted to.
They would name them after different
America,
things or gods.
Africa.
Yep, they would name them. Hitler
where
had
they-
a couple of those. There was some good documentaries recently you can find on YouTube.
The Steel Beast, right?
Yep,
I
yep.
watched that one. It was about America.
Yeah,
And he
exactly.
He drove around on that
That was
one.
his personal train, and quite often you might not have cars like this because this is
Yeah.
really armored. But again, your big concern
They
is
have
getting
the
bounced by
anti-aircraft.
aircraft. Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is an armored one with 2 types of anti-aircraft weapons.
This is real.
Yep.
This is a.
Yep, a lot of markings, newly tooled parts. Includes 110 parts with the 4-section road beds. So yeah, if you're into these, again,
That's wild.
small, but
It's different.
Yeah, certainly nice. We don't have a price on this one yet, so we'll have to see what Hobby Boss releases it at. And then we have the 135th scale, the Panzer VI, the 182 Tiger II, the King Tiger basically, the Henschel February 1945 production. So this was the conventional hull design, bunch of different armor schemes. A lot of different decals, actually. So yeah, good looking kit. 570 parts, which I'm sure half of it's the tracks.
Yep.
289 millimeters in length, 107 in width. Multi-slide molded lowered hull and turret. So again, good screen sprue shots. It does include a middle barrel, which is nice.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, an absolute ton of individual tracks, a lot of photo etch. So yeah, looks like a fairly nice. I do like the King Tiger. It's just a beast of a tank.
Sure is.
Yeah.
So that's a new tool.
That's a newer tool, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Ammo. Bunch of different stuff. Some books. Another one of their box solutions are coming out. So let's just get started. The Weathering Magazine, issue 27, called Recycled. So basically, it looks like they're covering how to recycle your old and out of date models. So this is
Interesting.
an interesting thing. Again, as usual, beautifully illustrated. They're obviously going to be using ammo
products
and that. But again, you can adapt that. So yeah, some different subjects. They've got some armored vehicles, a P-40 they've done. That looks nice. How to strip paint. They even have a Gundam here called A Second Chance they've redone. So yeah, all sorts of different articles. So this may be a good one for someone like that. Next we have the Encyclopedia Figure Modeling Techniques. This must be a new one. Volume 1, Color, Shape, and Light. So this is the second volume in the Encyclopedia of Figures. 112 pages. Dedicated to learning the basic elements. So if you're a miniature painter or you want to get into it, you want to start from the basics with a good grounding, here it is.
Very interesting.
Again, beautifully illustrated. Talks about how light, you want to indicate if light's coming from a certain direction and whatnot. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous. Okay, then they have another solution box. So as you know, we've talked about these before. This contains, a solution box typically contains everything you need to weather and detail and make your kit look outstanding. So this one focuses on World War II German late armor and weathering. So again, you've got, for 75 euros, you get the entire system. So you've got filters, washes, paints, even some brushes.
Yeah, I see the oil brushers in there.
Yep.
Different from the brushes you just mentioned.
And plus and of course, plus a complete book.
Yeah, the book is probably the key there. Right?
Yeah, they actually end up later on, they sell the book separately after a couple of months.
Yeah.
Because for some people, they may have some of the products already. But,
yeah, exactly.
But again, fully illustrated, nicely detailed. It even shows you how long you should wait between steps, I see, from some of the screenshots. So step by step, you can't really go wrong. And again, these are fabulous. I've seen some of the books, I've kind of perused them, and they're great.
Yeah.
They're really good for top to bottom. Yes, you can get stuff on the internet, but this is all in one. Everything's in the same spot.
I'm a big proponent of the book. It's just something. It's just easier for our human brains to grasp, right?
Exactly.
To look at the pages, to hold it in your hands.
Yep, exactly.
Flip through it. It's not sort of passing by you,
right,
while you're trying to process some information.
Right. Okay, then some more paint sets. We'll just go through these really quickly. RAF World War II pilot uniforms. Everything you need there. A Weathering Aircraft magazine, issue 13 is out, talking about aircraft that are knocked out, so abandoned aircraft, and even sci-fi, like a TIE fighter crash is in this issue.
Oh yeah.
One of the Bandai ones, Weathering Effects. So yes, again, quite good. RAF Desert Colors. So yeah, a couple new stuff from that. They're always coming out with new stuff, our friends.
Yeah. It seems like they repack a lot of their existing sets to get into a kit that's sort of specifically for a certain subject.
Yep, they'll do that.
Which is handy.
Yep. Okay, AK Interactive, some new books, some other new products. So they've got a new book out about IDF called Their Last Path. IDF tank wrecks with the Merkava Mark 1 and 2. So showing some that have been abandoned or, derelict, whatever. Some really good, So after years of service, they're placed in a closed compound ready to be scrapped. They've, including our friend Christoph.
That's right.
Christoph, who we interviewed for HeritageCon, bring you 250 exclusive, never published before photos with 3D graphic drawings. So everything you need if you want to specifically show one of these. And again, you can apply the technique. Then we have Deutsche Panzer in English and Spanish. World War I German tanks, full detail. This is a subject that's not covered very often.
Yeah.
And they also talk about some of the captured ones they did. So some rare archive photos. So if you're a World War I tank guy, this could be required reading. And then from their realistic plants range, they've got ferns.
Oh.
They're saying these are good for the 35th and some 148 scale. So pre-canned laser cut plants.
These are cool. I have some of these, not from AK Interactive, but I've had them for years. There's been a couple small producers making these type of laser cut kits. They're so cool.
Yeah, they've got ferns, dry fern, broken fern, ivy, jungle plant sets.
You get everything.
Realistic leaves. So they've got all sorts. You can new fabric tufts. Like I said, everything you need. Some people say, I can do it myself, but for some people, if they don't have the time.
Yeah, it's nice to have some of the stuff you can't do yourself. Let's be honest. like I got the leaf punch,
Yeah,
right, from
yeah,
Green Stuff
yeah.
World. Yeah, you can punch
You
leaves or
do that,
paper
but
and
maybe
paint
some
them.
people don't have time. They just
Yeah.
rather buy a pre.
But like to make a fern like that,
Yeah, that's pretty.
There's some work went into that
Yeah.
to make it look good, right?
Exactly. And then they're also plugging their t-shirts. You too can have a 502 shirt or an AK t-shirt from their website. So
There you go.
all sizes, I'm sure. Fashion. Yeah, modelers and fashion. Those usually aren't words that are tend to be together.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what are we talking about next? We're talking about
Tacom.
Blitzline. Tacom's new Blitzline. So this is the first one they've released. This is the 1/35th scale SD KFZ 186 Jag Tiger. So this is in 1/35th scale, 29 euros. Now I got an email from Tacon on their product release. So basically, the Blitz line is designed, and they mentioned it on their Facebook page too. It's basically designed as a simpler build, maybe not 9,000 interior parts.
Quicker.
So basically, yeah, they're basically saying quick and easy assembly with accurate details and a reduced part count. This exclusive new series is ideal for beginning modelers that require quality and advanced modelers that require convenience. So, and they say each kit is carefully designed to focus on fit and ease of assembly without compromising accuracy or detail. I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
For those people that want something that's accurate, but they don't want to, again, it's still a hobby. You don't want to spend.
Well, yeah. If they're honing in on the fit and the engineering of the part, I mean, obviously this is great for somebody who's not as ambitious, but those people who like to go all the way, which is a lot of us, right? We want that's a great base to build off of, to add your photo etch or to scratch build parts, and if you have a good base that looks good and fits well, the sky's the limit afterwards, right?
And they basically said this is going to be first of a series. So they're planning to do this as a basic line for different things. So
cool.
Yeah, this will be kind of cool. So yeah, interesting to see once we start seeing some review copies come out, and we'll go from there. Okay, this is the other big news. You were saying there was one big news with the P-38. This is the other big news.
Okay.
The aircraft guys. Edwards they're releasing a new 48 scale P-51D Mustang.
Oh, I have heard this mentioned.
Yeah,
before.
this is a classic. Now, for nationals, they're releasing this, and apparently I believe you're going to be able to get this one at nationals with this particular scheme, the Chattanooga Choo Choo. I believe it's very limited edition only at Nats.
Well, that will be a smash hit.
That will be a smash hit because people love the Edwards stuff. Apparently, people have already been looking. The first run's limited to 3,000 kits, but you'll be able to have the standard production, the door set fillet assembly, the field upgrade, a lot of different slight changes. So again, for those folks who really know their P-51s, there's going to be a bunch of different schemes available. You can do some slight differences, maintenance doors, etc. So yeah, it's going to be really, really good. It looks like an absolutely fabulous kit.
It looks like October they're going to have the
the general
pack?
Yeah, the general release will be then. A couple of different canopies, a lot of detail in this, bunch of different spinner variations, and both in the box and additionally there'll be a crap load of photo etch.
That's right.
Coming from Edward. But yeah, this one is again, I'm not a P-51 guy, but I'm hearing a lot of excitement about
that's
this.
A really iconic plane.
It is absolutely iconic.
One of the most favorite subjects of modelers, right?
Yeah, and an absolutely 6 markings of 8th and 15th U.S. Army Air Force markings. Some absolutely gorgeous looking ones there. It's going to be. It's going to be big, and I'm sure we'll see some news. We'll see some pictures of this at Nationals.
Yeah, we look forward to hearing more about it.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun kit for people to build. Maybe one day it'll be in my queue as well. But yeah, that's the other big news I was saying before. So if you're a World War II modeling guy, it's very exciting. Okay, just a couple of finishing up some new arrivals from Airfix. I just wanted to point out. They've got their a couple more of their 1/35th repops, the Academy molds they're using. So they've got the Panzer IV, the M10, and the Tiger 1 late version. They're now available. again, Academy mold, so we'll see what they're like. They've also re-released the 1/144 scale Apollo Saturn V. This is an absolutely huge kit.
Yeah.
And then they've also got the classic series, the Sherman Mark I in 1/76 scale. Great if you're a war gamer. Don't expect a lot of accuracy and detail, but again, a lot of kids, myself included, cut their teeth on kits like this.
So there's a nostalgic sort of
Yeah, they're
element
doing
to
a lot
it.
of them. They've also got the Pac 40 gun and truck in 1/76 scale. You know, so yeah,
I like the Beetle, the camper van, and the
Yep,
Beetle
the quick
flower
build.
power.
The quick builds are very, very popular as well. Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, so no, Airfix seems to be doing well there. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about some band. I always say Bandai Gundam. I know they're not
Yeah.
interchangeable. They should be.
Well, I mean, for the most part, Bandai does have the that is their property, right? Like
Yep.
they obviously do more than just Gundam, but there was a really interesting new Gundam kit on the horizon. There's many more that we're not gonna really cover because I'm not that familiar with them. But this caught my eye. This is a 1/144 scale high grade kit of the Penelope from Hathaway's Flash. Now I'm looking forward to Hathaway's Flash. I think it's a 3-part movie that's coming out
Okay.
next year.
All right.
And I believe it was a novel, and it fits into the Universal Century timeline. So like that's the good stuff for me.
Okay.
You know, people don't agree, but that's the original story, right?
Ignore the haters, dude.
Yeah, that's coming out in October 2019. The price tag on that is $75.69 Canadian. So that's actually quite expensive
Okay.
for a high grade kit.
Yeah,
And
because
it's
I was asking
it's a
you,
huge
and then you
kit.
told me what scale it was.
Yeah, there have been other larger 1/144 scale kits that are 50, 60, $70, but they're bigger. They're bigger subjects, right? Two come to mind, but this is a really bizarre. It's very interesting looking, and like it's not exactly my cup of tea, but it's really cool.
39 centimeters.
Yeah,
in
so it's a
height.
bigger.
It's a big
bigger
kit.
kit. It's sort of it looks like a Gundam.
Oh, definitely.
And that and it has like this massive what do we say, like a shoulder armor and tail stabilizer.
Yeah. Looks
And
like
they
you could cut. If you're not careful, you could prick your finger.
Yeah, poke your
on
eye out
some
with
of these.
that
Yeah,
bad boy,
exactly.
right? So it appears that it's something. It's armor that can open up
Right.
and be positioned around the actual mobile suit.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And
yeah.
so the actual Gundam itself, there's only a couple Gundam models, right? Like
Okay.
the term is actually their mobile suits, like these different all these different model kits, and the technology was like the mobile suit, right? But the Gundam is a very specific.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a close quarter prototype attack mobile suit developed by
Right.
the Federation, right? So there's a couple different models over the course of the story and over the years, kind of thing.
I'm just looking at the Hobby Link Japan link we have.
Yeah.
And I think the third screenshot shows the armor separate from the suit. So it looks like you can pose the armor separately.
like it sort of docks together with
so the armor
Gundam.
comes off, right.
Yeah,
So
it's-
you've got a Gundam there and then his kick-ass armor.
It looks pretty cool. I've never seen
Yeah.
that design before, so I'm looking forward to Hathaway's Flash. So that'll be quite neat and
Okay.
a very interesting subject.
Right, so that'll be fun. Okay, we're going to end up with our usual thing. What's hot at Scalemates? Well, we're on the right path because the stuff we're talking about is hot at Scalemates. So the P-38, the Jag Tiger, the P-51D, 1, 2, and 3. We've got the EZ-8 from Rye Field models. That's up there still. Our PL-1 stuff we've basically talked
The
about quite a bit.
Hellcat,
The
which is
Hellcat.
a big deal.
Big deal. Now here's a new one. The Great Wall Hobbies announced a F-14D in 1/72nd scale.
Interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people. Oh, this is one I forgot to mention from Tacom. They're producing in 1/35th scale a anti-aircraft missile system that you'd mount on like a ship.
Yeah.
In 1/35th
This is
scale.
a Russian one.
Yeah, it's a Russian
Navy.
Yeah, it's a bit different, right? Like it's a close-in weapon system basically. It's
Yeah.
defending
Yes.
a destroyer or something from missiles or aircraft or whatever. But yeah, it's an interesting
Neat subject. Yeah.
Yeah, like
and I know there's
diorama possibilities.
Yeah, there's a kit of the American
Of the,
version of
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I forget what it's called, but it's the
Yeah,
pod
the Gatling
with
gun and yeah.
It's that smart kind of
Yeah.
technology that
Yeah.
it puts up like a wall of lead. And
Yeah,
knock
because
out any
basically
anti-ship
high power.
missiles.
Yeah, and that's the idea.
Those are cool. I'm kind of curious about.
It's kind of different. So again, a lot of people are talking about it, and then if we go down the list, all the other normal stuff we've already been talking about. But again, it just shows you there's just an absolute ton of
Smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord. Smorgasbord, we'll say.
The Weathering Pencils Deluxe box sounds like that.
I see that. Oh, and I see your Sheraton still there. You got to get one.
Yeah. Now our buddy Dave is. Is building
our buddy Dave is building one, exactly. So
one day I'll get one.
And then you guys will have a Moosearoo Cup part 2.
Yes,
you can compare.
I think you're on the hook for the next Moosearoo Cup.
I know. I think I'm due. That's fine. I'll come.
But in all honesty, we have our Moosearoo Cup here. It's the size of the Stanley Cup. We're gonna box it up. We got the shipping crate. Maybe just seal it up. I think
we arranged the forklift to come and load it on the truck.
Ian's gonna win. Might as well get
I don't think we forgot to mention to the guys. We should tell them they have a fairly large package coming.
Yeah.
Should we tell them they have to pay the freight?
Oh yeah, it's COD.
COD, definitely. And we'll forget to put our return address on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Canadian thing, so exactly. Okay, so that's all the news for right now.
All right, and to go along with all these new kits that we've been seeing on ScaleMates, you got to grab some Super Saiyan blocks from GoodmanModels.com.
I heard of those guys.
You may have
once or twice.
You tried one once, didn't you?
I did.
Did you like it, or did you reject it?
I was actually very impressed, and it was so good I bought the company. No, wait a minute. No, I didn't buy the company. But no.
Hostile takeover?
Hostile takeover? No, I might get in trouble from your wife.
So you can grab some sets. I have them in stock. And what's great about that tool that I've made is that it lets you hold a straight, sharp edge in your work, and you won't run around over lines that you want to keep sharp.
And that's what I love to do. Those
That's
edges.
Kind of its strong feature, right? Because you have your sanding sticks, you got your paper, and all those different tools kind of serve you in different ways. But if you're working on some seams, or you're trying to just sharpen up parts, you need a nice, hard, rigid surface to sand against, and you can keep all your work nice and sharp.
As we drop the paint bottle off,
the shaker just got the primer just got shaken.
The primer just got shaken. See, this is the fun of live podcasting.
Yeah.
So what was that? The Mr. Surfacer.
That was my primer.
And he's got his little ball bearing in there.
I do have a little ball bearing in there.
See, there you go. You can hear it. There you go, kids. All right. Yeah. No. But as you were saying about the sanding blocks, it's something that's always on my bench. Got a couple of the grades, and just because it's especially when you're doing, let's say, a long wing section that you've cut the sprue off, and you want to keep that true to edge.
Yes,
that true form without having curves in or all that. Yeah, they're really good. And as I said, I'm not just saying that because I've known Anthony for years, and that they're a really good product, and it really fills a need. And you've got a lot of happy customers.
I do. I haven't had any unhappy ones yet.
You haven't had any unhappy ones.
Knock on wood, right?
Knock on wood, and you're all good.
I've been using them actually to clean up the 68 Mustang for the Moosearoo Cup. I have been using the blocks to kind of shape the plastic because it wasn't a great fit on some of the. It's an older kit, right?
Yeah,
I've had parts protruding. And they're a little bit proud, so I can take my blocks and shape the plastic, get into very quickly in line with the rest of the body, and it's turning out okay.
Awesome. So check those out. And where can one find these wonderful things?
Like I mentioned earlier, my website is definitely coming together.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah, it's GoodmanModels.com. I've got some sets. You can buy them directly from there.
Okay.
You can also find them at Flexifile.com. Section 8 Hobbies in Buffalo.
Because you know what? If they're at Flexifile, you know what that means. They're at Nationals.
They are. I did make a big order for Paul at Flexifile just before, and I know they're on their way.
So when you're down at Nationals, if you buy some, mention you heard about them here at the podcast.
Yeah. And actually, Paul's coming to join us.
Yes.
In the near future.
Yeah, we just got to work that out.
For an interview, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be good. And always a good guy. His store is just dangerous.
Oh yeah,
that's the first place I go when I see him at shows.
What's
he got here? Take my money. No, it's always some really good products there. They use some awesome things. So check that out. I was also going to say we have to give credit for some of the new website design to your lovely wife.
Yes, she really helped me whip it into shape. So she's a bit more tech savvy than I am. She knew what it should look like,
style and color, and
style wise.
We're fine with model kits, but get us to do something like that, and we're useless.
Oh, struggling. So she really helped me out.
Yeah, no, she did great. That's awesome. Okay, we are going to get on now with our interview. We did an interview. We had John Tamkin, and he is the president of Mission Models. And
Have you heard of Mission Models paints?
Yeah, apparently people have.
Yes.
And if you haven't, you should.
Check it out.
It came on the scene a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Slightly different way of doing things, but
Yes, you got to follow kind of the process for this.
but some amazing colors. They're acrylic. We had a really good interview where we talked a little bit behind the scenes on how that goes together. It was fascinating. So here it is right now. Stuart Clark here for the Scale Model Podcast, and we've got another interview segment, and I'm going to take it away to Anthony to introduce, I should say, our guest.
Yes.
All right.
Hi there, listeners. So we have today with us John Tamkin, who is the president of Mission Models. So hot new paint, lots of buzz. People are loving these paints, and we're hearing lots of great things about them. And we're very excited to chat with John, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. He's been in the hobby industry most of his life. His first job was in a hobby shop when he was just a wee lad at 12 years old, and he's never looked back since. He has a background in art and business, and then he later started Mission Models, and it's been around for about 25 years. So, wow, that's a real milestone. And he started out as a high-end retailer of exotic resin kits and accessories, and then got into designing miniature tools for modelers and craft people. He's 52 years old, and he's going to keep on innovating as long as he can in the hobby industry. So welcome to the show, John.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys having me.
A fellow guy who's 52, so I can have some of the jokes from the 70s that people, and it goes right over Anthony's head sometimes.
I was born in the 70s.
I know, but I was born in the 60s. You're still a young lad.
Yeah.
See, John, we were born in 67. Last time the Maple Leafs won the cup, I'm still waiting.
Yeah.
Okay, Anthony, you have the first question, so take it away, sir.
So, John, people are definitely buzzing about the Mission Model paint line. Tell us what's different about your paints. Why did you decide that, hey, I gotta get into paints? What was that initial kind of impetus?
Well, when Mission Models first started all those years back, we, as mentioned earlier, we started as an importer-exporter of high-end resin kits from all over the world and accessories. And it was a different era where there really wasn't online sales and so forth. So we would travel the world, bring in, pretty much everything. Mission Models was the place to go. If you wanted Aber, you wanted any exotic resin kit. You name it,
Right.
Under the sun, we had it, literally everything, and the plastic kits, to go with it, you name it. And so, like I said, it was a different era. We decided to get into it in the infancy of the web. We didn't even have a shopping cart. You had to call us, but you could our website. You could take
the good old days.
So the kind of the mail order era, right?
Pretty much. We had in the magazine ads, we had catalog listings, old school style. So you could look at the magazine with the listings, or you could go to our website, take a look, give us a call, and get literally anything you wanted. It was really crazy. And you'd walk into the shop, and literally the shop would smell like, a 55-gallon drum of resin.
Awesome.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it really, really was. And, it was Holy Grail after Holy Grail after Holy Grail. And, really the plastic kits at that time were basically just Tamiya Dragon, Eastern Express, Allen kits. That was really, it. And so we then quickly started designing our tools, grab handler, etchmate, micro chisel, all that stuff, multi-tools.
Oh, yeah.
We're both like tool nuts.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger
seeing
some of the ads for that, and some of the trade mags and that for Mission Models.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you're doing the tools.
So I then started to work on developing a line of paint, but I couldn't come. Well, the first thing we were going to do was actually, before anybody else was doing it, was pigments.
Okay.
And I decided not to do pigments, and was like, all right, well, we'll do tools. Then from the tools, I started working on a formula for a line of paints. and just could not come up with the right formula that I was
Right.
satisfied with.
Mhm.
It just wasn't performing. And so I just said, forget it for now, and just continued to concentrate on what we were doing,
Sales and
just everything that we were already working on.
Right.
And so we just kind of continued on from there. And like I said, put the paint on the back burner. And then years later, I decided to go back and start looking at paints again, new formulas, new technology, and so forth. And that's sort of how we got back into, I guess you could say, reinventing the company, because model kits of, sales have changed, accessories have changed, technology and kits have changed. The kits have gotten so much better that you don't necessarily need all the accessories like you did before.
Right.
I may be wrong, but it seems like, photo etch sales have slowed down, because it was in a different era where people would buy literally, 10, 15 sets of photo etch at a time for like every single solitary kit. But the kit's so good now and so refined. And like I said, I could be wrong. It doesn't seem like you need as much.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think that's definitely the case. I think you still have the option there, and there's still people that will buy 3 times the price of the original kit in photo etch. But yeah, you're right.
For
The
sure.
quality's there now. You certainly don't need it as much as you did back in the 70s or whatever.
The 90s.
Yeah.
Or the 90s
Yeah.
or whatever.
In early 2000s. But yeah, no, you're right. Just the kits have become that much more refined. But that's not to say that adding photo etch still, will add that certain
Right.
level of refinement, tool
Yeah.
clamps, certain things. And a lot of the kits come with a small fret of essential parts. So you're like, whatever.
So you had a chance to focus on getting into the paints and kind of less on that part of the market.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And we spent, quite a few years, developing that line, the formulas, and so forth.
Mhm. Did you get help like from a chemist or something to do paint development? Like we don't want you to give away your trade secrets or anything, but
That won't believe me, that
Yeah.
won't happen. But
you know what you're doing. So
Yeah.
do you do that route, or do you try and go through the process yourself?
Our
Figuring out.
yeah, our formula is a proprietary formula.
Right.
And I do work with other people that are experts in their field of, chemical fields, things like that.
Right.
So it's like they say in, Hollywood, in movies, it takes a crew. You can't do everything by yourself.
Yes. Yeah. You need the help of the right people.
So for someone, let's say, coming into a hobby shop, who's, let's say, bought your Tamiya or whatever before, and they see a nice new shiny rack of Mission Models paints.
Mhm.
What, the first thing they're going to say is, okay, what's special about Mission Model paints? Can you kind of give us the Cole's Notes versions, or maybe, there might be a couple of people on the planet that haven't heard of you yet?
Absolutely. The thing about, Mission Models paints is that, and not only do you get more paint, first of all, it's a 1 ounce bottle or 30 milliliters versus, 15 or 17 milliliters. So you're getting double the amount of paint at a great value. Okay.
Nice.
But, more importantly, I don't know which is more important. It just all depends on, what you're looking at. But our paint, like I said, is a proprietary formula. It's ultra modern. It's 100% water based. Okay. And it's fine art grade. We use all organic pigments. We don't use any kind of synthetic pigments at all.
Cool.
And we do not pre-thin any of our products at the time of bottling at all. It's as pure as you can possibly get, right? And the reason why we don't pre-thin anything is that there are no inconsistencies. There's no hard settles. You don't get bad bottles of paint. There's no shelf life. So like I said, there's no premature kickover. A lot of other companies will pre-thin everything, call it airbrush ready. Look, our paint is airbrush ready, but we don't put on the label airbrush ready. Now, when you pre-thin, again, you end up with, possible inconsistencies, hard settles. A hard settles when your pigments separate from your carrier, they drop to the bottom and they end up drying out below the carrier. Now, our pigments will settle because of the weight. Everything is still pigmented, but they're not going to prematurely kick over within whatever additional chemicals were added, to the paint. And the other problem with pre-thinning is that if you put a specified amount of, let's say, pigment and carrier, and then you put a specified amount of whatever thinner that they're putting in there, all pigments are created differently.
Right.
So if you add, let's just say for the sake of the conversation, a quarter ounce of thinner to every single solitary bottle, well, your whites could be too transparent. Your tans could be too transparent. Everything's gonna vary.
Right.
So that's why, our paint is as pure as possible. But, the results, and some people will say, but we also have in our tech support that when using our paint, you will find that, for example, olive drab may be thick as molasses. Now we use 5 or 7 different, pigments, depending on which version of olive drab it is, to make the color. And every pigment has a different value to it. So certain colors, such as olive drab, because the amount of different pigments in there may be thicker than, let's say, a desert tan or, Panzer gray.
Makes sense. Yep.
Because of the value of the pigment. Now, when you put the paint into a mixing cup, and let's just say briefly, you're going to paint, I don't know what, Sherman tank, okay? 'Cause you don't know the size of that in 35th scale. And you got this really thick paint. You're like, oh, man, how am I going to, this isn't going to work. Well, you put in an epoxy mixing cup, right? Let's just say 40 drops. And we do it by drops to keep it really, really, really simple, okay?
Yes.
So let's just say you go 40 drops, add 10% thinner. Okay, that'd be 4 drops of thinner, but the paint's very forgiving. If you feel like you want to add 6, go ahead. All right. The 40, 10, whatever, is just a basic starting point. But what you'll find is that our thinner, which is technically a very high-end, refined, reduced, will break the paint down instantly, like absolutely instantly.
It's designed for the product. Yeah.
It's exactly right. So you only need a few drops. It's really, really powerful. We call it thinner, just not to confuse the market by saying this is a reducer, this is a thinner. Well, how do I thin it? Well, reducer, but it's reducer. What about my thin? So we just call it thinner. So that's essentially how it works. It's really, really easy. I mean, really easy.
Well, and I have to say, you were mentioning the FAQ on your website. I've been through that a couple. It's absolutely awesome. I wish all the manufacturers did that, because you've literally just said this is how you do it. And I've always said too, like with different paints, sometimes as we say, different colors. Sometimes there may be a slightly different ratio. But like you've really specified very clearly that, at some point I'm looking forward to trying some of this, and I'm gonna go into it, unlike with a lot of paint systems, with a lot of confidence, because I know what the recommended thinning is, what a thing to do is, and also how do I thin, what do I use to thin, and also how do I clean my airbrush afterwards. And
that's really comprehensive.
It's absolutely awesome. Can I just ask, how is it for brush painting?
Fantastic.
Is it okay? Just curious.
Oh yeah, people use it for brush painting. I was just doing brush painting maybe a half an hour ago. I mean, it won't leave any brush strokes. You can go ahead and do a stroke right over a previous coat, and it won't lift like other brands that are alcohol based, and they say that they're acrylic, but they're not really. So what will happen is the alcohol in that paint, a lot of the Japanese brands, for example, have alcohol. They say it's acrylic, but it's not a pure, true acrylic.
Right. Yes.
The alcohol will then, what we call, re-wet the previous coats. That's where it'll start to lift again.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Cool. Okay, so I guess one of the other questions, of course, because we often are interested on this podcast in the whole industry. What made you decide to get into a market which there already is a lot of paint lines out there, and it seems to be in the last 4 or 5 years all over the world there seems to be new paint lines coming out.
Well, there's always room for a new tire brand.
Okay.
Awesome.
The thing about it is that, I mean, how would I say this? We put out a very, very high-end fine art grade paint. It's very different than anything that's out there, and it's very different than anything else that's ever been out there. Most formulas are 20, 30, 40 years old. This is ultra modern,
Yeah.
cutting edge technology from our resins to our pigments, everything. I mean, our paint sprays and finishes like a lacquer. If you use it properly,
Ooh.
you follow the directions, that's what you get. There's a lot of guys that have switched over from using, highly toxic lacquers over to using a pure water-based paint who have said, well, acrylics don't work like lacquer. Then they spray ours and they're like, oh.
Yeah, and that's always been my thing. My wife has asthma, so I've always preferred, using the acrylics over the really stinky lacquers.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is the lacquers have no place in this type of industry. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Whether people like what I'm saying or not, it's highly toxic stuff.
It is. I agree. I agree.
And people will die in time. There is no place for it. There are no warning labels. There's no accountability. And you go in your basement or wherever, and you sit there and you spray lacquers, and you're sitting in a cloud of lacquer fumes. There's a reason why, in automotive paint factories lacquers are basically outlawed. You can't really use them. And there's a reason why when lacquers are sprayed, you're wearing a hazmat suit with industrial ventilation with a hose going to the ceiling so you can breathe.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've always done, even my own airbrush booth, I've got a booth, I've got ventilation, and no matter what I'm spraying, I'm wearing a proper mask. Because this stuff, no matter what, it can get into you.
That's right.
Exactly. It makes for a fine product. I'm just looking at the color chart here. I see you've got a line of primers.
Yep.
How do you find those compare to a bunch of the other ones in the industry? It gives a good bite and.
There's absolutely no comparison whatsoever. And I just have to say, not because we make paint, but if we didn't manufacture paint and I was using this paint, I'd be like, oh, this is like the answer. Our primers, again, they are first off, they're automotive grade.
Right.
As are our clear coats.
Okay.
Now, the primer is, again, thick in the bottle. You have to activate it. The way activate it is just by using our thinner. Okay. It's very quick, very simple, same mixing ratios.
Okay.
Paint is very forgiving. So, depending on your climate or wherever you are, whatever, you can add a few more drops of thinner and, to your liking. You just don't want to over thin it, but it's the thinner that actually activates the resins in the primer that make it work the way it does.
Okay, I see.
Cool.
I see. Just the other thing is, because I'm going off track here, because again, I'm just really looking at more in detail the color chart. The color change ones, they look quite interesting. I'm actually building. We're having our local IPMS chapter is doing a summer build, and I'm just for fun, and I'm building one of those little tune tanks.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really tempted because I know another manufacturer, but unfortunately it's a lacquer, has some similar things. But I'm looking at this, particularly the color change purple, and I want to do something obscene like that just to annoy the rivet counters.
Sure.
But so this looks great too. And this is just like so these color change ones, are these just like a gloss? They just go straight on, or do you put an undercoat?
How it works is, let's just say you took our iridescent plum purple, which is an awesome color.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I'm using this one as an example because it was one of the last things that we did and used, color change on it. For example, in a demo was do your color change purple.
Right.
Okay. And I mean your iridescent purple.
Yeah.
Now the color change, it's a 2-dimensional pigment. It's not a 3-dimensional pigment.
Okay.
So basically, what it is, it's a highlight effect. So what you're getting, so it looks like it's when you look at the bottle, it doesn't look like anything, right? Because the pigment is almost in a clear carrier.
Right.
So then what you're going to do is you're going to kind of dust it on, and it's going to look clear, but you're going to start to see the rolling effect on what's called a side cast.
Okay.
So it's not like a hardcore, say, chameleon where it goes straight from gold to red, like or flake 3-dimensional. It's a highlight effect. So let's say you take one of those tune tanks and it's got the turret. Let's say it's a Sherman, you've got the curves or whatever on the turret, and you go and you spray that on. You're going to start to see all your rolling effects on the curves.
Wow, I like it.
And it's very, very cool. And you can specify where you want it, if you just want it on the top of the turret or some of the on parts of the hull or just whatever, you'll start to see that kind of rolling effect. And the more you build up, the more of the effect that you'll see. And you can,
that's cool.
Yeah, you can combine them. You can do all sorts of stuff, layer them up. So they're really cool. They're very, very cool, and they're subtle. But the more you build up,
right. Yeah. Well, and again, the thing I like is, again, it's not a lacquer. It's it's a hell of a lot safer.
I have a follow-up question about the color change. Could I ask you, John, how did that come about, like that? The whole concept of having a color change paint like that. When did you sort of discover that, hey, this would be something marketable, people would like that? Was it kind of just a lark, or did you have some kind of motivation for that offering that kind of style?
Well, we had just released our line of pearls and iridescence, and we wanted one more, I guess like an effect or go with that. And there's so much that you can do with the color change. It's perfect for like sci-fi, automotive. You can, honestly, you can use it. And people have to really think outside the box, but you can use it on afterburner cans on.
Okay.
So if you get one of our other, metallics, like our aluminum or cold rolled steel or burnt metallic iron or whatever, you could then take the color change and lightly dust it over the afterburner cans or any kind of metal effect or there's heat stains.
Right.
It's just about being, creative and just sort of thinking outside the box and going, well, what's this for? And
like another tool in the box, right?
Pretty much. You can use it on, weapons, Gundams, Star Wars. It really the possibilities are endless.
Well, I know, I can see the gears turning in Anthony's head because he's a big Gundam guy.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some possibilities.
Well, I like the idea of applying them to metallics, like John was mentioning about heat stains and like some.
There's definitely some good ideas. So I guess we've kind of already covered. Do you have any other? Just the next question, we actually started to cover it. Do you have any other tips for modelers to get the best performance?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up is, our line has a polyurethane mix additive, which you guys may be familiar with, you may not be. Now, we get a lot of questions about that, and the poly is what it is. Okay,
right.
Polyurethane, it's an inner coat, and what it does is it. How to explain this? It turns a paint into a urethane-based automotive grade acrylic. So so the finish is as tough as the finish on your real car.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's intensely durable. And the way you use it is very simple. Just like we said about mixing the paint, say, 40 and 10, so 10% thinner to paint. And you do the same thing with the poly. And the way the poly works is when you mix it into the paint, it dries from the inside out and creates a hard shell. And it seals the paint and increases the durability by a good 150, 200%. You use that stuff and you apply it properly, it's not coming off.
Wow. So it doesn't rub off like with handling? Like that's a fairly common problem.
Oh no.
Awesome.
It is the absolute most durable paint on the market.
Now, and that's why I'm hearing so many good reports from the gaming community who really love your product,
because they must handle their stuff a lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's use the poly. It's not, the paint will not come off. It will not come off. And you can handle it as much as you want. You can scratch it. You can wet sand it. You can use automotive rubbing compounds, Carnauba waxes, and depending on how you apply the paint, but you will not burn through when using rubbing compounds like cars or polishing or whatever you may want to do. The thing about the poly though is that it is it's a temperature sensitive product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this is one thing that we come up against, is that not all chemicals, whether it's hobby related or industrial, have an indefinite shelf life. For example, our paints have an indefinite shelf life because we don't freeze in anything. But the nature of polyurethane, just like that of CA glue, if CA glue get, super glues, whatever, Zap, any of that, Bob Smith, you name it, Santa Acrylite in general, it doesn't matter the brand. If they get hot, they will kick over, they will solidify, or they will overflow out of the cap. Polyurethane, by nature, it cannot be allowed to freeze, and it can be exposed to extremely high heat. If the cap is left open and it breathes in the air, it will start to kick over. So if you, I mean, not like instantly, but
more likely.
And I remember hearing cases where with other paints, that's one of the problems we have up here in the Great White North. You don't want to be doing ground transportation or in the winter.
Correct.
Because they've had cases where products have arrived at hobby stores and they were in a frozen truck and they froze, and it's just they're useless. I mean, they're absolutely useless.
Paint freezes, it can thaw at a room temperature and you can still use it. But you don't let the primer freeze. You don't want to let the clear coats freeze. But especially the poly. But if you leave your polyurethane, in front of the window in the middle of the summer and it's just cooking with, in the sun, it's going to kick over. But if you just leave it, you can put it in the fridge if you're worried about it, just like people do with CA glue and other products. You put it in the fridge, it'll last a long, long, long time. But if you don't take care of it, that you have that potential.
It's like anything else.
If you know how it should be treated and you just follow the rules, you'll get the best performance out of it. So I have another question for you, John, about so it sounds like you can use a hair dryer to probably speed up the drying process. Is that a good idea for your paints?
You don't have to, but I mean, like, if you're in a rush, I mean, you pull out a hair dryer and you just lightly, apply
quite a bit.
hair, and it's dry to the touch. Sure, we do it at demos all the time.
Okay.
Hair dryer, and that's so guys have to sit there and watch the grass grow. But,
or paint dry.
Exactly. So yes, you can. It's dry to the touch, but really, technically and scientifically cured. It's a few hours, overnight, whatever. But if you want to hit it with a hair dryer, so it's dry to the touch, sure. And you can keep on working. It's not a problem. But you don't want to apply too much heat because you will end up plasticizing the resins. Will then start to just it's like anything. You just don't want to apply too much heat.
Just a little bit extra.
Just mix it with some air, evaporate the water and everything else that's in there, dry to the touch. You can do it with the primer, and you can just keep on moving. But the paint, in reality, the paint is dry to the touch pretty quickly. I mean,
once you've sprayed it, it's almost started to dry, right?
Light layers like anything else.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it is with our paint, which I wanted to touch on, when you apply our paint, you'll want to apply it with it, whether it's the primers or the paint. We specify applying in light, wet coats. Means that it just looks shiny. It looks. It doesn't mean wet like you've doused it and flooded it where it's running. Just a nice light wet coat, 2 to 3 inches away from the work at a nice low psi, between 10 to 15 psi.
Okay.
That's how you apply it. When you apply it like that, you retain all your adhesion properties. We have people that email us saying the paint comes right off. Well, we know that's why we have our FAQs, the do's and the don'ts. We tell you exactly what to do, exactly what not to do. These are the issues. If this is what you're doing, this is what's going to happen if you spray from 12 inches away. It's not a solvent-based paint like a lacquer or an enamel or whatever. But even with those, if you spray from 12 inches away, you're over atomizing the paint.
It's dried out.
It's dry in the air.
Yeah.
It's landing on the surface, and it's dry particles landing on the surface. It will not adhere. And if you add water to the paint, whether you use poly or not, it's going to come off.
It's going to wash off.
It will wash off. We had a guy email us saying, I went to put decals on and wipe the paint right away. So anytime that somebody says something like that, we go to test, and which I'm like, man, really? So I'll go do a test and apply the paint properly, exactly as I assume I'm doing it, meaning, straight from the bottle, no poly. Worst scenario, just straight from the bottle. unprimed, let's just say.
Right.
Now, spray it on a piece of bare plastic scrap, whatever. Let it dry. Even hit it with a hair dryer just to hurry up and get it done. Put decals on with just water. Okay, no problem. Paint's not coming off.
Right.
Do another decal, with a brush over it with water. A setting solution such as Microsol in the red, or whichever one it is in the red bottle, doesn't come.
That's right.
So the thing about it is just to follow the basic instructions.
Exactly.
What we do find is that with the complexities of a lot of other brands, people are applying those complexities to our paint. It doesn't.
They're old habits, right? Like they're used to doing it a certain way for 20 years, and then you got a new product that has its own set of steps, and I think it's hard for people to get their head wrapped into the new.
Definitely.
So I think
it's so easy that they introduce a lot of their own problems into it.
Yeah.
And the paint is literally as easy as milk on cereal. It's literally that easy.
Yep.
That's my kind of easy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really that easy.
Well, and this is where, like I said, I love your fact because you clearly explain it.
Yeah.
Where in the past, some manufacturers you've had to kind of do some trial and error. And,
you got to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, and
right?
I still, but there is some basic rules, as you said, 2 to 3 inches away and things like that. So
we'll be sure to include the link to John's FAQ and tips and tricks.
Definitely.
Tips and tricks for our listeners to see with our show notes for this episode. So
we change the tips and tricks section all the time. We add, we eliminate. It's a living document, so we're always changing things just because.
Improvements, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So John, can you give us is there any little tidbits or any kind of little surprises you can fill us in on at this point? Any cool stuff you're working on? Future releases?
Yes, but I can't. Unfortunately, and seriously, I can't talk about it.
No. We understand that.
Yeah, no, there's 3 or 4 good products coming.
All right.
Okay, so something to look for.
Yeah, we're really, really excited about. We have a lot of new colors coming.
Awesome.
Don't just kind of slop the colors out there and just be like, hey, here you go. Here's some new colors.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why our releases are slow is that we take a lot of time to do them right. So our next round, which is late, unfortunately, and are in pretty high demand, and I want them as well for my own use, is our next round is brass, gold.
Oh wow, cool.
A gloss white base for our chrome. What else is there? There's a gunmetal coming, RF high speed silver. Now, the reasons why some of these are late is, for example, with the brass and the gold, because of the special nature of the formula for those, is that the pigments were starting to tarnish. And so we had to keep doing more and more and more development and make sure that for longevity, that wasn't going to happen. We send all of our products out for lab testing once everything's blended. Cool. And we can test, shelf life. Everything goes to a serious and professional lab before anything gets released. Wow. That's why you see warning labels on all of our paints, which you don't see on any other brands. You look at the bottles, it's very, very transparent. We conform to all North American and European standards. So it's, like I said, it's very transparent. People will buy, we'll get our poly or our thinner, and all of a sudden they see a warning label and they can't figure out, why there's a warning label. They say this must be really, really toxic. Actually, it's not. But what we do is we make sure, like I said, to conform
up front,
all standards and all legal and EPA regulations. A lot of brands don't. So there's no warning label. So when you're sitting there, breathing in liquid cement or lacquers and they have no warning.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, because it doesn't have warnings and doesn't say anything, doesn't mean that it's not safe. But when acrylic product like ours that says, hey, wear eye protection. Hey, it could be an eye irritant. You're not going to end up in the ER if you splash it in your eyes. I have by accident. It's not comfortable. You're like, I can't quite explain. It's kind of like a cool but burning, but like weird.
All right. Yep.
Splash it out with water. You're not going to go blind. Like, splashing water. or something like that into your.
Oh yeah, that could be disastrous.
But that's why it's all there. And in California, we have what's called Prop 65. It's
Yes.
a big list of chemicals that are known to the state of California to cause cancer. So
Yeah.
all of our products, if they fall under that category, such as the poly or the thinner, will, by law, have to have the Prop 65 warning.
Right.
But then again, if you go to Starbucks, you go to the supermarket, you go to the tire shop, anywhere you
It's
go,
everywhere. Yeah.
it says Prop 65, and that's because there's something there.
Mhm.
Yeah, something part of that process that
Yeah.
involves one of those chemicals on that list. Yeah. We
Yeah.
even see that all the time. And
Yeah, we have that. We for products
Yeah.
that come from California, and that we see that up here in Canada too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's right.
it's nothing new. It's nothing new. Well, yeah. So you basically answered the next question, which we were going to ask you about the research process, about creating the perfect shade, but you more or less answered that. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go right on to the next question, and this is something we ask all our guests. Because again, I'm almost fascinated about the state of the industry. Where do you see the industry in like 5 to 10 years, and where do you envision yourself in Mission Models?
Well, the hobby industry, it is always growing, and there are younger generations coming in. There are young modelers. They're not, all, with all due respect, old timers. There's a lot of people out there, and if you look at, on Facebook, you see everybody that's involved, whether they're building Gundams and they're, kids or young adults building Gundams or Warhammer. We're talking about gaming there, but you also have the same amount, in scale plastic modeling, model cars, military subjects, you name it, it's happening. But it's I think that, it is thriving. It's highly competitive. But the difference is you have a lot of mail order. There's still a lot of shops out there, but not as many shops. So, if a lot of people can order from wherever and just discreetly have it delivered to their homes. So you don't really know, per se, who's doing what. Not everybody's out there saying, hey, I'm building models. They get home from work, there's a package sitting there, they open it up, there's a model kit, whatever it might be, gaming stuff, supplies, you name it. So I think that it's always growing. There's a lot of innovation, technology changes, and it's really not going anywhere. I think that the reason that the shops start to close down is there's a few reasons. One, shop owners need to be in tune with the market and not blame it on external, but they need to look internally at how they run the business, because there's no loyalty anymore. So if you go to your local hobby shop and they don't have, anything new, or they don't have Mission Models paints, it doesn't mean that the customer doesn't know that Mission Models paints, don't exist, or this particular new model kit doesn't exist, or a product from a finishing product from any other brand for that matter. So the customers end up being a lot of times more savvy than that of many shop owners.
Right.
Yeah.
So people are.
You have to adapt, right? You have to adapt to the market to survive.
Well, you absolutely do.
Yeah.
And the customers, people are obsessive about their hobbies, no matter what it is. Model building.
Yes.
Yes. Anthony's dad's a model railroad guy. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Even my own borderline obsession, right?
Yeah, he's pretty obsessive at times.
Oh yeah, and everybody really, you're always trolling the, Facebook or whatever it might be for the newest products. The manufacturers are launching their new products on Facebook and other social media platforms, so the customers know what's coming 6 months before it's released. Now, the other thing about it is you have overseas market; it's a global market. So if a kit is released overseas, it's available in Hong Kong or wherever, it comes out first. They don't want to wait for the shop to get it, per se. They'll order it anywhere because it's a different era, new technology. It's a lot safer to give out your credit card from, say, when we were doing the old Mission Models with the kits and everything. We would go out on a limb, bring in the stuff. They would give us the card number, but they're not about to, give it to a guy in, some other country because they're all worried about it. Well, it's modern. Fast forward, everything is basically safe.
Yeah.
1,000 different buying options. And so again, where I'm going is that if a guy goes into a shop and that shop doesn't have, the newest product, but they know they can get it from this mail order shop or
Yeah, that's me to a T.
Yeah, it's a challenge for the modern retailer. So
Yeah.
the modern retailer has to stay savvy, but also be willing. They exceed on the customer service.
Well,
too.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is that on the customer service, it's really important that the employees
Yes.
can unsell as fast as they can sell. You can't, you got to be, well versed in all the products that the shop sells.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an expert in 12-channel Futaba and Aerotronics radios, but maybe a little bit. You can walk them over to the
Yeah.
RC expert if the shop sells RC or rockets or whatever. But it's important if we're talking about like scale models or whatever, because our paint can be used on anything, literally.
Yeah. Right.
Lexan, polycarbonate, RC card, you name it. And that's another beauty of the paint. So, I think it's really important though for employees to have some sort of experience in the products they sell, at least a little bit. So when a
It
customer
helps, right?
says, what do you know about this? I've never heard of this. Or what do you know about this paint or this pigment or whatever it might be? It's a quick unsell if the employee says, I don't know. And that's it. I
Yeah,
don't
for sure.
And this is where also the employees and the owners, they rely on the manufacturers and that to be able to give them that. And again, that's what I absolutely love about your frequently asked questions. You're very clear about it. You fully explain what the product is. So someone working at a hobby shop could read that, if they get that in for the first time, even if they haven't had a chance to actually use the product, which we always recommend, that they can be able to at least, come from a position saying, yes, this is how you do it. This is how you apply it. And it's literally this easy.
Yeah, and the thing about modeling these days, and you're asking about where do I see it, part of the problem, I think, is that, with Facebook, a lot of creativity has gone out the window.
Mhm.
And it takes many, many, many years of practice and patience and thinking outside the box, experimenting, and trying things out on your own. And one thing that we've noticed every day on Facebook, people just want to know. It's okay to ask how do you do it, but they want to be an expert out of the gate.
Yeah,
right
true,
away without
true.
the practice. Yeah.
And
It
that
does
will-
take time.
It takes time.
Yeah.
We make a lot of mistakes here all the time. All the time. Everybody does. The best
Yep.
guy, everybody makes mistakes. But the thing is, you got to just experiment, be creative, and push forward. Because if you just sit there and follow formulas that other manufacturers put out and say, this is what a model looks like, not necessarily. Do what you think looks right and try it. We get emails, well, can I mix these two paints together? I'm like, try it. Just do it. Just take drops and
See what happens.
Exactly.
together, because you're not going to create, some toxic gas that's going to kill the neighborhood. And just do it. Just
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
good
yeah.
advice.
That's a great advice. And we're going to finish up with our
Yeah.
normal last question.
Yeah.
Anthony?
So our last question for all our interviews is what's on your bench right now, John?
Can opener for the cat food for the shop
Yeah.
cat. No, but actually,
Hey.
I usually have well, that's where I'm sitting right now, and some
Yeah.
Advil and a pencil. No, but
Like the
no,
Advil
but
part.
what's on my bench? Let's see, a few things actually. Right now, I'm back to doing tanks, just because I can kind of somewhat do them quickly. It just depends on what my mood and my mode is. But I really build everything. I really do. I build what I like. I was really stuck on vintage Skylines, Japanese cars for a long time. And then I was stuck on Porsche 911s, vintage Porsche.
Oh, yeah. 911.
911 turbos,
Yeah.
things like that. Then I was starting to find that, and I love aircraft. I love, World War II thoroughbred style aircraft, Razorback, things like that. 109Gs, P51Bs, Thunderbolt, the Razorback. I'm not a big bubble top canopy guy.
Right.
Really like that kind of stuff on the side profile. It's really cool. But one of the reasons why I moved back over to tanks recently is because of time. I'm like, oh, I got to mass the canopy. I got to do the cockpit.
Yeah.
I kind of have to sort of hustle along, and I'm pretty much of a perfectionist. And so when I get off, like that's why I kind of moved away from cars. I'm like, oh, it's taking so long. Tanks, for example, I don't have to do the canopy, but there's in the cockpit. But on the other hand, everything is just as much work. It takes just as much work to do a proper tank as it does a proper aircraft or a car.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't matter what you're doing. It all takes the same amount of time, and you can only go as fast as physics will allow.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes it's just something that you can only do in short bursts, right? And then you have to kind of let your
Well,
mind
that's what
get
I
into
find.
it.
I sometimes get in the weeds on something complex.
Yeah, and you asked me what actually I missed. I kind of skirted the question by accident, but you asked what's on the bench, and there's one more thing I want to bring up before whenever you guys want to wrap up, I could talk for hours. But what's on the bench right now is the new Ryefield models Sherman.
Oh, nice.
Yep, we've been talking about that in the show.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. And I replaced the tracks with Friul model tracks. I didn't really like the tracks on the Ryefield kit. I felt like the jig was a little funky. I don't know. No matter how careful you are.
The Friul is the
metal
the ultimate for replacement tracks, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I love model casting tracks, old school model casting tracks. I absolutely love them.
And they were indie. Those are indie links, right? Model casting did the always indie links.
Yes, they have glue together ones, but they have the individual workable. And they're complex and they're delicate and they're very old school. And I love them. They're just awesome and precision and just killer. But it's just my thing. I just like that old school stuff. Really. But with that Sherman kit, it's a T80 track. So it's a very complex track in general. And it doesn't matter who makes the aftermarket track. It's all complex. Even the full ones are a huge pain. They're quick, easy, but God, they are just not even difficult. It's just there's
tedious,
a pain in the ass.
I think there's an easier way for someone to make that T80 track because it has like the grouser, the hollow guide horn in the middle. They're just funky. It's just like, man, these things. There's no easy way around it. But I think the one tracks that came with the Ryefield kit, they're nice, but you got to be so careful because when you use Tamiya liquid cement, no matter how careful you are, it'll wick through, and then you have this jig. And just the way they did it, it's 20 minutes per 6 sections of tracks.
Again, goodness! Wow.
I was just like, forget it.
Well, you know what? I have a horror story. My very first 135th tank when I got back in the hobby was a Dragon Sherman Firefly, and all the guys in the club, they said, you must be a glutton for punishment because the tracks on those, the Dragon tracks, absolutely sucked. I feel your pain, definitely.
Oh yeah, but the kit itself is actually very, very nice. It's just the tracks were just
a challenge.
Brutal. Yeah. Brutal. And then the other thing that's on my bench, oddly enough, and I don't know why, when we were over in Belgium, I picked up the other, and I usually pretty much for the most part stick with Tamiya these days just because you know what you're going to get. And I don't have time to fight anything, fix anything, fill gaps. I don't have the time to what we do. So, but I got the Ryefield models Puma, that fighting vehicle thing, that armored track thing.
Okay, it's modern, right? It's a modern German infantry vehicle.
Yeah, because I like the gun and the whatever it's housed in. It looks like a crane, but it's not. I don't know. I got it, and the vehicle's just like, it's not even a good looking vehicle. And I'm like, why did I even get this thing? And it was like sitting there, and I'd never built a Ryefield kit, so I was like, I'm just going to build this. It's actually very nice, and so that's the that's the other thing that's on my bench, and it's very enjoyable, and the workable tracks that come with it are so much easier than the Sherman ones. Like the Sherman ones are by nature, it's just a difficult thing. But the tracks in that thing are really easy and really, really nice, and
it's mostly covered, right, with the skirted side armor. So it's a bit. There's another little Not
It
a
is,
little
but
advantage.
yeah, but I went all the way around and did the whole thing, and they're super easy and they're durable and they're just awesome. I mean, but like I said, it's just the nature of the particular track setup.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So I have all sorts of stuff. Like I don't know why. Like I just got a Tamiya Famo. Why? I don't know, because it was at the hobby shop. I'm gonna
Why not? Yeah, exactly.
You're a man after my own taste. I sort of like a little bit of everything.
Well, that pretty much. It's just whatever. If it has a motor and it's cool and it's visually appealing,
Yeah.
I like
Yep.
it. It's like I don't even care about the history. I was watching a video on the Famo for some odd reason, and the sound of I think it's a diesel engine. I don't know. It sure sounded like one. I don't even know. I'm like visual. I'm like, oh, that thing sounds.
Yeah, it looks interesting, and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I'm the same way.
All right. Well, that's awesome. So we're actually recording this on the at the end of July, but we are going to indicate you're going to be at IPMS Nationals.
Yes.
Okay. So yep. So definitely people going down there, check them out.
Yeah,
You're
look
gonna
for the
have
Mission Models booth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll be right near Edward, towards the back of the hall. But I want to bring up one other quick thing
please.
that I
Yeah,
say is like very important.
absolutely.
Because it seems to be one thing that we're really, really just trying to get across to people. Don't use lacquer thinner to clean your airbrush with acrylics. Don't use Windex. Don't use alcohol. Don't sit there and make home brews. It doesn't work. You're not saving time. You're not saving money. Thing about when you use, lacquer thinners and you're using, alcohol, Windex, all that kind of stuff, and you can hear that noise. It's me hitting a pencil eraser against it.
Oh yeah, we caught that. We're
kind of chuckling because that's the way I used to be.
we appreciate your passion for the the subject matter for
Well,
sure.
not only does it cause the user a lot of grief, but it causes us a lot of grief. And
Yeah.
in brief, I'm going to tell you why. Oil and water don't mix. Now, just because you put lacquer thinner into your airbrush and the cavity of the airbrush looks clean, believe me, it's not.
Yeah.
Your entire airbrush is gummed up in the air chamber and the nozzle and the needle. You will turn the acrylic paint, and our paint is 100% water-based. It doesn't mix. It will gum it up instantly. Don't use alcohol. Don't use lacquer thinner. Don't use Windex between color changes because you will have residual still.
Gummed up inside.
Yeah.
So what what do users of Mission Model paints, or what should they be using to clean their airbrushes after the paint session?
Water.
Water. Okay.
We take industrial grade squirt bottles from Home Depot. Don't buy the $2 one. Go the extra mile and get the $3 one. The ones from Zepp for professional window washing with a very heavy hard stream. Fill it up with water. Squirt out your airbrush. Spray it through. Empty the cup. Then take our thinner. Just a few drops of our thinner. Put that into the cavity and spray it through. The more you use our paint and our thinner and the poly, the more the airbrush becomes lubed, and the faster, believe it or not, you will be able to clean the airbrush over time because it'll coat the inside of the airbrush and it'll just slip out of there like a banana peel. You can pull it. You don't even have to. Guys are like, oh, I disassembled my airbrush after every use. You don't have to do that.
Yeah,
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I've always done. Anytime I've bought some new type of paints or whatever, I just automatically pick up the thinner, whatever manufacturer.
Yeah, you
it
gotta
is.
buy the recommended product for the paint. That's always
And I
a good idea.
I like how you mentioned here in the fact that you can soak the airbrush in the thinner, the parts, without damage to the chrome or the seal. So that's
I'm
awesome.
the laziest modeler in the world.
Yeah.
I will soak just the end of the airbrush in there just if I feel like it. You could do 20 color changes without clogging up your airbrush.
Nice.
To a point where you're like, oh, I think this airbrush has had it, and I'll clean it and I'll just soak it, and then I'll just 20 minutes later, the next day, I'll just spray thinner through, and maybe I'll pull the needle and just wipe that down, and then just spray some thinner and water through, and boom, we're ready to go.
Way to go.
Awesome.
Fast and so easy. It's like ridiculous. Lastly, like I said, and I'll let you go. I promise. You guys are
We're gonna have to have you back. That's fine.
Part two.
why do we get this guy? He's going to keep us here all night. No, but
Oh no, that's okay.
I'm just kidding. People think that the guys have said, oh well, the line is cost prohibitive. It's really, really not.
No, yeah, because when you're buying a paint, and you mentioned earlier that it's double the portion size,
It
that
is.
should last people for years and for projects and projects. Because when you're airbrushing, you barely use any paint.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. But the thinner, for example, we have a 2 ounce and a 4 ounce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And literally, because of you never mix the paint 1 to 1. If you mix it 1 part paint, 1 part thinner, you're going to over thin it. It's going to turn into like ink or like food dye. I mean, it's going to like over thin.
Yeah.
You can also use a lot more thinner. You only need
Okay.
drops, and per drop, if you broke it down, percent, meaning cents, dollars, and cents during the duration of time that you've had it, you'd be like, it's like 0.000 whatever. But when you're kidding. But when you clean the airbrush, you use water, just a few drops of the thinner, which is also the airbrush cleaner. That's all you. It's like literally drops, and that thinner will literally last you a long time.
Well, yeah, like I'm looking at, I'm on this site now. I'm looking at Canadian pricing, but yeah, you'd be a fool to buy the 2 ounce one. Get the 4 ounce one. Right now the Canadian price is showing the 2 ounce for $11.11, and the 4 ounce for $12.82. Like, why wouldn't you buy the 4 ounce?
It's a great price.
The 4 ounce actually, really is. I got to say, I mean, it's a better value, but not everybody. I mean, it just depends what, the guy maybe somebody wants to just try it out, buy 3 bottles of paint and
sample size.
Yeah, it's good. And yeah, you're right. Like I said, as you say, you do get the larger, things, and plus as well on the website, you do have the paint sets. Like I'm looking here, you got the RAF paint sets and stuff like that. So again, basically for someone wanting to give it a try, it's got everything you need. You got, like I'm looking at the RAF World War II paint set. You get 4 colors and the 2 ounce bottles of the poly and the thinner. So yeah, I think it's absolutely awesome.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we're going to let you go. We're going to have you back at some point, John. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
We've learned a lot about it. I know it's paints I want to try. I've just got my closest hobby shop to have it is 2 hours drive away. But I think at this point I'm going to have to maybe do some mail order.
Yeah, I think our good friends at Section 8 Hobbies in Buffalo, New York,
they
carry Mission Models.
All right, and they carry your sanding.
Oh yeah, Justin. Yep.
Justin, he's what a great guy, and his shop is amazing. He does carry your line, and he was selling me on them at one point. I got to get over and visit him, and then try some out.
Yep, and that's the difference with the good guys. So okay, well, like I said, once again, thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, an absolute pleasure.
And have fun at Nationals.
Yeah,
thank you.
Great time.
All right.
Much. Well, thanks guys for having me. I really enjoyed it. And, anytime you want to do it again, we'll do it again, and it'll be good times.
Okay.
All right.
As you can see, that was a great interview we had with him.
There's a lot of passion in that interview.
Oh yeah. He likes on his desk, doesn't he? Yeah.
He really wanted to emphasize some points.
So
and I think he later told us that he was joking. He was whacking his. He had a pencil there. And
he was hitting the desk. Pencil. Yeah, it was quite funny, but that's fine. We'll happily take that.
I think we were chuckling too. What a passionate guy. What a cool product.
Exactly.
Neat story.
Okay, moving on. Talking tools.
What do we have?
This time it's my turn. We've been talking a little bit about photo etch.
We have.
And my challenges with it. I enjoy the larger stuff, but
your challenges are everybody's challenges.
My challenges are everyone's. But one of the things you do is if you're working in photo etch, you really need a good photo etch bending tool.
It's so critical.
It's one of those things that spend the extra money, get quality,
and
it'll last you for life. So
I can't do certain things without it.
So what I have here is I have the one I have, and this is the one I recommend. It's from the Small Shop, and they make a bunch of different ones. So they've got one.
This is the full.
This is the full Monty.
Yeah.
This is the 5-speed. It's currently. I just checked their website. It's SMS004. It's a 5.5-inch hold and fold, and it's $70 US. Now people are going to go, that's kind of expensive, but it'll last you a lifetime.
Yeah, it's one of those tools that you can't do without.
Yeah. So it's made 100% in the US. It also comes with a 5-inch folding blade.
Oh, yeah.
In a safety cage. Now, what I do is I usually use a little razor blade.
Yeah.
So I just have a razor blade for most of the time. But if you're doing longer ones, absolutely awesome. But what's great about this is there's 2 clamping things. If you have long photo etch, 16 bending finger options, and I'm just reading some of this with the site because the site explains it better than I can. For shipbuilders, railway builders, model builders, you name it. Micro edges, black straight edge can be used to assemble roll tracks. And yeah, that's a good point.
Interesting. Like a
'Cause
jig.
it's, yeah,
to line
like
them
a
up.
jig because
Yeah,
it's
that's
perfectly
nice.
flat. Pyramid finger design enables fold over of U-shaped channels.
Yep.
It's a spring-loaded tool head. Everything's head and base is machined from aircraft-grade aluminum, so
Yeah. It's got a nice weight to it.
It's solid.
Yeah.
Like it's a good weight.
This is what I used to. I borrowed my good friend Don's hold and fold, the same model, and I used one of the tines, or what do they call them, building or fingers,
fingers, yeah.
to make my footman loops. After
Yep.
I couldn't, I was having a hard time. I ended up trying a few different options, and then using the finger and some fine wire, copper wire,
yeah.
I got what I wanted, and I can't replicate that with anything else.
It's an awesome tool. Plus, it
Yeah.
comes with full instructions. I brought this over to Anthony. He's going to let Anthony borrow it.
Yeah,
'Cause he's got some photo etch stuff to do, and I'm done with photo etch for a little bit, so I'm good. But yeah, really, really good. But like I said, normally it comes with instructions. You think I can find the instructions now?
They're online though. I'm
They're
sure.
online,
Right?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure they are. If not, I'll ask them. But lifetime guarantee.
Yeah.
Again, absolutely amazing product. Really good folks at the shop here. They've been around for years.
The small shop, right?
The
They make
small
other
shop, yeah,
tools,
August
but-
2002, and then they renamed themselves the small shop. It's Julie and Sam Lockwood out of Washington State. If I
And that's the
recall.
kind of thing, like, if you have a hold, even they have the smaller version called the Bug, which
They
is
have the
cheaper,
Bug,
obviously.
which is some cheap ones. They have rolling and folding tools,
Yeah.
cutoff sets.
But if you have, like, some photo etch nippers, like,
Mm-hmm.
they're specifically designed for cutting that, and some kind of folding mechanism, you're
Yeah.
really on your way with photo etch stuff.
Yeah, and they do sell the Xeron.
Basically.
They do sell
Yes.
the Xeron things, so they have everything you need from
Yeah.
their site there, including cutoff sets and stuff like
I
that.
love talking tools.
Yeah, I know exactly. So yeah, this is a fabulous set. Again, I think the only thing left really I need to get one day is a decent micro punch set. If there's
Yes.
certain tools that are just lifetime, you buy them, they'll last
Yeah.
you for the life
They
of your
can
hobby.
do that thing
Buy
that
the quality.
comes up once in a while,
Yep.
but
Yeah,
it does
so
it
we're
really
gonna
well.
we're gonna give that to Anthony. He's
Thanks.
gonna play
I'm getting
around
all
with
your
it.
tools, dude.
I know, just for a while, borrow. And our podcast cat, Mr. Sparkles, came in, took a look. I'm sitting in his chair again.
Just kidding. That was a joke.
I know. That's all right. That's all right. I heard that. Mr. Sparkles
He
will
came
keep
by,
you.
eh?
He came by and he came in and he went back out again. So
See ya.
he's just checking things out. So yeah, check that out. We will put a link to their site on the website.
Wow.
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. I got it at a show. I don't think I didn't order it direct from these guys, but I got it at
Yeah.
a show. So there is other hobby shops and vendors
they're
that will around.
I was
And
actually looking at a different style from Paragraphics. That's
There's all different style,
It was
yeah.
a little bit cheaper. It had a whole different. It had like a bending brake.
a different
built
thing.
into
Yeah.
it, yeah.
I had to look around, and I just thought for what I was going to use photo etch for, which I didn't know what, and something that's going to last you a lifetime.
This does everything.
Yeah, exactly.
It is awesome.
Again, $70, but you're prorated over 20, 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's one of the more expensive tools you'll get, but the things you can do with it are
Yeah,
you can't.
I may
replicate
swear
any
at
other way.
photo etch a lot, but it does make my life a heck of a lot easier. So yeah, check them out at thesmallshop.com. And as I say, we'll put a link there. And if you order it, mention you heard about it on the Scale Model Podcast.
SMP.
I'm gonna sound like a broken record soon. Okay, sites and tips. So you talk about this one. We both know this channel
Yes,
very well,
we
but
do.
I'll let you.
Yep.
You came up with this one.
So yeah, you may have heard of this guy, Paul Budzig. He is awesome. For a
Yes.
number of reasons, he is kind of hilarious. I love this guy. He is a crazy model master, this guy. So Paul Budzig is, I believe he's a dentist.
He's a dentist
right?
by trade.
from
yes.
the USA, but
Yes.
he is a very highly skilled master modeler, in my opinion. I know that he did a lot of work for Fine Scale Modeler dating back to the 80s.
Yep.
And I have some of those issues.
Yeah.
And they're awesome. His builds are amazing.
Yep.
So he went on to produce a series called the Scale Model Workshop. And he's got them on YouTube, and they're free, and they're really well produced. And he goes through all these different. It's almost like the theory of model building, right? So it's a lot of technical stuff. It's
Yep.
techniques, how to do this, how he does that, and he's using all kinds of really cool machinist tools and turning out these amazing scale model products
Right.
with them, and he just he's very knowledgeable, and he explains a lot about how things work, airbrushing, decals, glues, like not just what to do with them, but how they do what they do, so you could better understand the process. And it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
And he's an awesome dude.
He is.
His stuff is really cool. Now he has a couple particularities that he sees model kits with X-ray vision compared to like the average model enthusiast, right?
But again, if that's what turns his crank, then
Well, and we're all better for it because
Yeah.
when you see the way he talks about things, you start to understand, and you're like, and you see things in a different way. And when you go to approach your projects and your problems and the challenges that come up,
you'll
I
be
think
able to
back
learn
to
things.
him.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
and you
think
can
back to
give
things
some
that-
ideas, even if you get a couple of tips.
yeah, he's
you're gonna
definitely
be further ahead.
Yeah, and I just discovered him like a year or two ago.
Okay.
And but the stuff is brilliant. I've had some huge takeaways from the way he talks, and his projects are super fascinating, and this guy has a lot to offer, and it's definitely worth going through.
Definitely
some of the
checking out.
stuff.
It's really nice. It's so well produced, and like I've seen people comment because he's got this nice jazzy theme music. It's
Yeah.
like sitting down in the den in the leather lazy chair with a whiskey, and watching these. There's a
And
real
he has a
vibe for
very
it.
sort of laconic way of speaking. He's like super laid
It's very
back.
civilized, shall we
Yeah,
say.
and he, he's a really funny guy.
He
He's got
is.
some really dry jabs
Oh, he
at the
does.
model kit
He does.
companies
He
when they
does.
screw up.
He does. He
He's
does.
merciless, but he's right.
Yep.
And he builds all kinds of cool stuff. And what's really interesting is he does not do weathering.
No.
He likes to build his, and he just says like,
Factory
this is
fresh.
my take on it. Right, they roll out of the factory, and I think they look really cool. It's an awesome concept.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
just some really cool stuff. And
Yep.
and he also he goes out of his way to encourage people to try things. And isn't that the whole point,
That's
right?
the whole thing of the hobby. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. So definitely check that out. His website's also very good. Very
Yes, he has
informative.
almost the same things, but in sort of
He fully goes
pictorial
into details. He's got a
tutorial.
great series where he talks about paint guns. So when you're doing larger
Yeah.
primers for larger kits,
Yes.
your small little airbrush isn't going to handle it. Where he goes through the whole thing of why you want a good wet primer coat. And
that's how the paint
fascinating.
works, right? So
Yeah.
you can get the results that we dream of in our minds.
Exactly.
But I went back through some of my old scale modelers after I found out, and I found his articles, and they are
Yeah.
just killer. I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh yeah,
No,
that's
absolutely
awesome.
fabulous.
So check them out.
Check them out. Okay, what's on our bench? So with me, again, been a busy week. I haven't really had a lot of time to build, like actually get down and build it. I'm loving this little Edouard Spitfire. Don't get me wrong, but I'm really more and more saying I think this is going to be the last of the 72nd ones I do for a while.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
you know,
48. It's the way to go.
yeah, I've got a ton of 48, so I just have to decide or maybe some larger 72nd. We'll see. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean, if it's a giant bird, then you're not
yeah,
going to do it.
I'm plowing through it. All the major components are now together. It's actually looking like a Spitfire now.
Nice.
I did have, oddly enough, for an Edouard kit, there was actually a part that had some filled-in plastic. I had flash.
Wow.
It's more like it covered, where the rear aileron goes.
Yes.
One of the parts where it slots in, I had to use a knife to get that out. It was solid.
Oh, it was
With
okay,
a
so it
flash
kind of
over it,
spilled in a
which
little
is
bit.
very unusual for Edouard, but not a problem. It went together. Again, the fit's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. The odd little bit of filling and sanding, and that's probably my fault. But again, this Magic Putty works great.
Cool.
It's an acrylic putty. We're going to talk about that at some point.
That's got to come maybe next week.
Yeah,
or next
that's-
episode's Talking Tools.
I can see why people rave about it. That
Yeah.
finally we have a local vendor for it.
I gotta try that out now.
Yep. And then for our local IPMS club build, I'm working on this little tune tank, this King Tiger. I still haven't decided what obnoxious paint color I'm going to use. Based on our interview, there might be some Mission Models purchases coming for like a color change. I mentioned it during
yes.
the interview.
Chameleon
just
tank.
to piss off the river counters.
Yeah.
As I say, all in good fun though. So yeah, no, and I am enjoying that.
Good.
I can see why they're popular. They go together really easy.
Nice.
Fits fantastic. So it's great.
Right on.
So what about you, sir?
Well, I have been working on the Moosearoo Cup Challenge, so challenge, that's for sure. That's the key word there. So it has tons of every part has flash, and like the round parts aren't round, but so I built the wheels. I don't know. I just decided to do that one night. I chromed them up so they look
Yeah, they look good.
reasonable.
Yeah, we
and,
got a picture of that. We'll throw it up in the gallery.
Yeah, and I've been working on the body, so I've been installing some of the pieces, and they're just brutal. So it's like I got to go back and, like I was mentioning with the Super Saiyan blocks, like actually clean the parts up, like shape them, and then smooth it out. And it's not exactly.
Well, I know
that
you've been
fun.
talking to Ian. You've been getting some advice there.
Ian has been giving me some tips because I'm essentially going through.
Probably the first one is don't buy one that old again.
So my
No, that's
my
all right,
buddy,
and that's my fault.
Yeah.
Because I found it.
you did choose it, but how would you know? They're all probably like
yeah.
that.
We were looking for something cheap.
My buddy
Cheap and
at
nasty.
Kyle at Wheels and Wings
Yeah.
is talking. He told me, I told him I was building. He said, be patient with that. It's probably from 1968, the kit.
We should look it up. Actually, that might
Patience.
scare us.
I wanted to be done in like 5
So
hours.
you'll have to ask what he recommends, and he should.
yeah.
Hey, he could be a show sponsor and give us a kit to do it.
Yeah, I
Just
suppose.
saying, but no.
But they have Super Saiyan blocks in
Yeah,
stock.
they do.
so
Wheels and Wings.
Yeah,
if you're
it's a
in
great
the
shop.
if you're ever in the Toronto area, Dave, I know you're coming up to Toronto. It's definitely going to be a visit.
Yeah,
and
that's
when
a
you
good
come
shop.
in January, February,
Yeah.
amazing store. The guys there just do
Yeah.
an amazing product there.
So I've got that on the go. I'm working on the APC because that's kind of the one that's sort of
APC's looking good.
on my mind. Yeah,
It's
so I
looking
did
nice.
all my modulation. I'm really
Yeah.
happy. It's looking good, so I'm going to do some filtering, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's hopefully really coming down the home stretch.
Cool. Now, last but not least,
Yes.
we have a new series.
Yeah, we're trying something new.
We're trying something new. I'm
Exciting.
going to move this down because we actually went right by it.
Whoops.
There it is.
All right.
So, Anthony, tell us all about this.
Okay, yeah, so this kind of is coming from my side a little bit, but I hope that you enjoy it as well,
Yeah, I'm
Stuart.
going-
and
I'm
I hope the
going to.
listeners get something out of
Yeah,
it.
I think they will.
So although we don't do a lot of techniques and we're more focused on the industry and what's going on, I had this unique opportunity to do a commission build for a fellow Macross model builder.
Awesome.
So you know that Macross is very close to my heart. I know you like it too.
Yep. He's got a whole cupboard of them, kids.
Yeah. So I was sent this model to build on commission, which is my first commission build, and it is an extremely rare 90s, produced in the 90s. It's a 1:100 resin like garage kit from Japan, Valkyrie kit that fully transforms.
Right.
So
This
it's
is just amazing.
1:100 scale. So this is a unique thing all around. So actually, I'm not sure the manufacturer, but it's a 1:100 scale VF 19A Excalibur Valkyrie.
Right.
So it has sweep wings. Now this 1:100, that's pretty small for.
It's tiny.
For
And most things,
It's
yeah.
basically an airplane
Yeah.
kit, but it does transform into the robot.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
And it has a series of pins and ball
Screws
joints,
and-
screws,
yeah,
things.
yeah.
So there's a lot. You have to drill holes out.
Right.
So now along with this commission, I was asked to do a tutorial about building resin, going through the steps. Got a whole grocery list of things that we're
Right.
going to do. So we decided to turn this into a video series to kind of share that knowledge, and the customer really wanted the knowledge on resin kits to be shared because they're such beautiful kits, and
Yep.
and they're not like you can buy transforming kits, but I don't know if that's a real. Maybe
That's
that's
a
a
thing? I don't know.
common thing.
Right.
But these are quite old, so I mean by today's standards, right?
Right.
But they're beautiful. So we did do an unboxing video. It's going to be for our Patreon
It's going to be for the
supporters.
Patreon subscribers first. They're going to
First,
see it
yeah.
a couple of weeks in advance of everyone else. And we actually shot that before we did the podcast
That's right.
tonight.
That's right.
And it's a beautiful looking kit.
Yeah,
Like,
it
I
looks
was
very
blown away.
crisp. So this might have been mid '90s
Right.
engineering, but you can see how like the Japanese model world is so advanced,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, beautiful looking resin. So we're gonna be the next one. We're gonna start talking about the nitty gritty to help people. I know a lot of people get kind of scared about like,
Yeah.
oh, I'd have never built resin.
Right.
I don't know. Or my dad told me he had a resin hopper
Yep. Train car. Yep.
and he didn't know anything about it. It was a
Right.
bit in the '90s, like pre-internet.
Right, yeah.
And he always tells me this story about how he tried to glue the thing together and it like popped apart. He just couldn't get the glue to work. He wasn't sure what to do.
Right.
So
Right.
you know, we're gonna work on through the project, right to the finish, and we're gonna go through the steps, show the techniques, and
Awesome.
and hopefully produce a beautiful Valkyrie to send back to
Yeah,
its
exactly.
owner.
That's going to be great. So yeah, we'll include a picture or two
Yeah.
in the show notes gallery.
Yes.
But then the rest you'll have to consider becoming a Patreon subscriber.
And
give
then
your
and
heads
this
up.
this new series will be the in-depth report, and maybe something down the line. We'll do another special
We'll
project.
do some other things, as we go forward.
Something different
so-
than what we normally do.
Exactly. So yeah, definitely. All right. So yeah, you have that to look forward to. So don't forget to subscribe. Let us know if you have any comments or suggestions at scalemodelpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Facebook page. And as we did say, the Patreon page, patreon.com/Scale Model Podcast. The other bonus you get is when you sign up, you get to hear you get to hear me try not to mangle your name on the
right.
air. That should be a bonus right there. Right,
You'll love it.
we'll probably get 5,000 just because of that. Also, don't forget, if you're down at IPMS Nationals this week, feel free to flip us back, drop us a line,
Yeah.
post some stuff to the page. We want to hear what's happening.
We love hearing from
We'll give you
listeners.
full credit and stuff like that. So, anything else from you this week?
I think that's it.
I think we're basically pretty well covered it
We
all.
got it.
We got some exciting stuff coming up. A couple more interviews lining up soon. I got to tell you,
Yes.
folks, Anthony is absolutely amazing at getting guests lined up. I don't know what his
Yes,
secret is.
reaching
but
out.
I think he's threatening people. I think. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
just my good looks and charming personality.
Shall I double check that with your wife and I'll see what she says? Because it'd probably be the same response if I said that
Yeah,
to me.
for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the boys did do that wonderful podcast about spouses.
Yes.
With
Yeah.
Dave's wonderful wife, who's a
Yeah.
very patient woman.
Yeah.
So
think.
Yep. The other thing
Yeah.
we should mention is again our friends at Scale Model Podcast on the other side of the world.
The benchers.
They do their podcasts bi-weekly as well, and there's inevitably an off weeks. So make sure you check them out at On the Bench.
Always a good listen.
Always a good listen where you can get every week your modeling.
Oh, I love it. I
Modeling
can't wait.
goodness.
Those
Exactly.
episodes don't come fast enough.
I know.
Full of information.
Exactly, and people say the same thing about ours. And one of the things we're looking forward to, and we got to start planning it, is Dave's going to be coming up to Canada again because
Yep.
there's some relatives up
February.
here. February. So
Yeah.
we're hoping to have a live podcast from the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum,
It's gonna
thanks
be
to our
fun.
friends Alan at IPMS Hamilton.
Yeah.
So that should be fun as well. So we're looking forward to that. We got to start
Definitely.
planning that. I know September's going to be here before you know it.
Whew.
I know
Yeah.
it's
get that
coming
card
quick.
done.
It's coming quick. I love fall. Anyway, that's it for this week. So for Anthony, my name is Stuart Clark. Thank you and be well.